All right, and we are back. Time for pick bands in Monday Night Customs. Dwayne has rejoined me at the caster's desk, so you won't just have to hear my voice the entire time.
Ooh, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here, Doom Geek. I hope we can give your voice a little break by having at least one other person talking.
For sure, for sure. It definitely is weird trying to sound off of your own ideas, but I thought the last game was really, really spicy. I really look forward to seeing what new strategies people bring this time. We saw a lot of new heroes in the previous game. You know, we have we haven't seen Orion in a little while. We definitely haven't seen Shaco in a very, very long time. So it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen here. Let's go and talk through some of the bans that are happening already here.
Yes, we got an Amumu ban. That's probably aimed at Hector. Hector's like a very prolific Amumu player. I think we've had a lot of highlights already in our analyst test segments with Hector's Amumu ults hitting 4 or 5 people at a time. We've also got a Maokai ban from the blue team as well. I think he's just a really strong champion at the moment. I mean, we can see that from the world's meta right now. A Maokai in this economy? Yeah, I don't think so. He's just too much. Meanwhile, on the red side, we've got 2 more targeted bans at Down Bad Miner. Yone and Gangplank. I don't think he's going to be seeing those champions anytime soon.
Definitely seen Gangplank make huge plays before, so it's tricky. I really feel like, you know, if you have down bad on one team, you end up using a lot of, dare I say, ban economy on down bad. But as we see like over and over again, like if you're gonna ban down bad's Yone and GP, what about Shaco, right? That was what about like, you know, Yasuo? There are characters that down bad has a very large portfolio. You just really have to pick which poison you want to avoid.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those 2 bans in particular are really good against him, just because his agency on Yone, his abilities on Yone, you don't want to see it. Like you just ban that one just because he's too good. He's too cracked. And then on Gangplank, I think Gangplank is the problem there, not necessarily down bad. The fact that he plays it just makes it worse. But I think Gangplank is really powerful on this map. He's such a clock, and he's such a powerhouse all by himself. So I'm glad to see that one go the way of the bans. Meanwhile, we've got a first pick Sylas. Have we seen a Sylas at all yet in our Monday Night Customs games?
We have not, but it ended up just being a little bit of a bait, not actually Sylas, a classic pick from Pious here Leona. We don't know, as we've started to see now, we actually see a lot more swaps between teams.
That's Sylas for Team 1, right?
Oh, my apologies. I have the screen slightly covered. Wow, yeah, actually, we've never seen a Sylas. This is new.
Yeah, that's really spicy. I wonder how he'll do. I think he's also been really powerful in the world's meta. But his job on Howling Abyss, you know, I'm going to be honest, I don't really understand how he's supposed to work. I feel like every time I've played him in an ARAM, I just get absolutely dumpstered.
I think that's one of the things that we're going to continue to see from Down Bad here is that he plays playmakers. He's going to go ahead and go in and try to see if he could just make stuff happen on his own and look good doing it. You know, that may or may not work well with the rest of the team, but as long as the rest of the team can kind of follow up and support it, we're going to see some fancy feet.
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. He likes to pick champions that he has a lot of agency on, like hyper carry champions or champions that can basically win the game 1v9. Sylas is new though. I'm really excited to see what he can pull off on that pick. The response of Leona Swain's very interesting too. They basically both went melee champions as well. I wonder how that's going to work out. I think if you can like out CC Sylas and just have like AoE damage on their whole team, that might be a good look, but we'll see where that goes. The response of Set and Alawi on the blue side is very interesting. Leona and Swain are kind of divey champs, so I like the response to throw an Alawi in there and have a champ that says, hey, jump on my team. Come on in, bro. Like, I'm ready. I'm here to counter engage here and hit everybody as they come in on us. And honestly, I think the Canadian Moose is the only person who actually plays Alawi in the group.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this before. Alawi really being able to be that true counter engage, and so I think it should be pretty good. One of the things I'm also really, and Set as well, like if you go in on Set can just reverse that and toss you back out. one of the things I'm kind of curious about here is like with the Leona and Swain picks into Sylas, is that like bold? Sylas is like loves to steal ults. Leona, high impact ult. Swain, hey, that's basically just making Sylas bigger. Are those like risky picks, or is that just not something you consider here? You're more looking at the CC potential from Leona to lock down the Sylas.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think Swain ult, I'm not sure how that does on Sylas, but Leona ult on Sylas is a force to be reckoned with. The AP scaling on that ult is actually really high. When you see Sylas use Leona ult in pro play, he basically like one-shots squishies in the backline. It's pretty dirty. So if I were on the red team, yeah, I'd be worried about picking high impact ults right now. Thank goodness Maokai's banned, for example.
Yeah, so this is going to be kind of curious. So now we see the last two bans coming out from red team, both solid champions that Iron plays. So that's pretty notable there. And then the flip side here, we can see a Seraphine and a Lilia ban coming out from blue team. Not sure who I mean, Lilia probably just a good ban in general. Don't know if this is a particular targeted ban, and Seraphine also just being a pretty good one here. But we'll go ahead and see who they end up picking. What is each team missing right now?
Yeah, so Team 1 is obviously missing an AD carry. Interestingly enough, the Canadian Moose picked Alawi. I'm pretty sure that pick is for him. So not only are we seeing a new look from Downwood Miner, we're also going to be seeing a new look from the Canadian Moose, who pretty much has only played AD carries in most of his games. I assume that Iron is going to pick an AD carry here. His go-to AD carry is Twitch, which is banned. So I guess we'll see a new look from him as well.
And a Janna. Wow, that is pretty different. But there's a solid possibility that Janna is getting picked to swap with Tryhard. We're not entirely sure here. That's very different though.
Wow, what a combo too. Janna Kog'Maw is a classic. Basically, you defend the Kog'Maw in this position, and he'll do a great job of melting the Leona, the Rammus, the Swain, and all the people that are diving on top of him. The Janna shield will be really helpful, and the ult with pushing away the red team when they dive in. And I actually really like this answer too, because he's so good at melting the enemy tanks and health stackers. Meanwhile, red team goes for Fiddlesticks, another dive champ, as well as Rammus, who's also going to be diving in. So we've got 4 dive champs on the red team, and a Caitlyn for early game AD carry pressure. That's pretty dirty. Unfortunately, most of their damage is heavily magic damage. I mean, the damage spread here for champs who are going to be hitting the backline of blue team, it's almost all magic damage. So if I were Kog'Maw right now, I would be absolutely overjoyed. Imagine this Kog'Maw picks up a Wit's End early, goes kind of like a sort of a bruiser build. I think he'll absolutely pop off. If I were Tryhard here, I would be really happy with the position I've been put in.
One of the things that I saw from blue team here that's going to be kind of weird and a little bit different is does Janna work well with Lowy? When Lowy puts down her ult, is there a possibility that Janna pushes everyone out of the ult? Maybe a little bit of a non-bow interaction there, but I was curious what you thought.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing Janna, it's always possible that you can screw up your teammates' ults. With Alawi, it's not so much of a problem because you got to basically be standing on top of each other in order to mess that up, and usually Janna isn't standing on top of Alawi, so I'm not too worried about that myself.
Yeah, another thing like I do want to like answer myself there as well. Is like that's one thing I was potentially worried about, but then I look at the red team with Leona, Rammus, and also Fiddle. That Janna ability to like push back, and I forgot about Swain. All these characters kind of want to be in it, and Janna's ability to kind of knock them back, push them back, and stop them from going in, that's gonna be pretty clutch. So I think this is gonna be pretty great. We're kind of talking about the high impact ults here. Sylas can take Leona, can take Swain, and also has Fiddle now too. I don't know how amazing these arts are, but we did talk about Leona as being a great one. Is the Fiddle a good one for Sylas?
Yeah, the Fiddle ult on Sylas is devastating. I don't actually know if the Fear will work though. I'm not sure. Is his Fear from his ult or his passive?
That is a good question. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to go ahead and check that one out later, and potentially we might even see it from within the game here. So
yeah, I think it's actually from his ult. So maybe yeah, maybe he'll get the Fear. I'm not actually sure. We'll have our team in the back check it out and get back to us.
Totally. All right, we'll go ahead and take a 1-minute break just before the spectator delay goes away. We're gonna go ahead and be right back.
See you then.
All right, and we are back with both teams kind of lining up here. Let's take a quick look at their items here to see if there's anything unexpected. Seeing this, we currently have Janna just building what looks like would probably be like the support item Janna. And nothing else too unexpected I see here. Everything seems pretty according to plan. We do see the horn coming out from Fiddle, and the fighting begins right away. Huge knockups off the get-go. But
oh my gosh, Illuminati steps a little bit too far up and goes under tower. It takes a bunch of tower shots, has to flash away. That was a little bit of an awkward look.
Yeah, pretty painful here. Can't underestimate that pull from Swain here. And again, they are really trying to take advantage of these picks. Huge picks potential from Red Team. First Blood. The Caitlyn able to really position far away in the back and getting these huge hits. Going to be another hit. We're kind of seeing how, like the previous game, Caitlyn was banned. She's able to position herself very safely from the back, and we can't. Those headshots are really, really punishing. So these, every time they manage to get a pick, Red Team is getting great damage in.
Yeah, that was kind of a brutal win for the Red Team right off the bat. They have a lot of early power with that Caitlyn, and I think Blue Team is just trying to scale up a little bit. So. They definitely don't want to make those kinds of mistakes this early.
Both teams are trying to kick off another fight here again. Huge punishing
Looks like
blows.
Illuminati gets feared by the Rammus. Rammus is trying to dive in, can't get the rest of it though.
Downbat going in really deep here. Yeah, and Downbat going really deep here, keeping the rest of Red Team off of it as Blue Team's able to kind of focus down on whoever actually went in. Downbat's still looking for it though, and gets taken out by the tower.
Wow. Okay, that was a little sussy behavior right there. I don't know about that dive. All right, the Canadian Moose fishing for souls under the tower is able to dodge out most of the damage. It's amazing that he didn't take any tower shots the entire time and didn't get hit by any like real skill shots. That was very impressive.
Rammus going in really, really deep here to land the taunt and trying to get some more pick potential here. Downbat getting pulled in pretty deep. Smells blood in the water. Starts getting the kills. Lowy in it as well. Wow.
Wow, Diamond Miner got a great kill there. His E's about to come up too, so if Duke Corey walks up a little too close again, I think he's going to get absolutely blasted. Janna. Wow, and the combo into the set E. That's a lot of damage. That's an easy win for the Blue Team.
I think this is going to have to be one of their strategies here. We see that the Red Team is a little bit thirsty here, trying to get some initiation. We have the Rammus who can do the role, the Leona that can go ahead and get the E and the snowball in. They can really turn those initiations on their head here. We kind of talked about that in Champs League, and that was I think the first time we kind of seen that happen. And it wasn't just picks happening from Red Team, where Red Team was catching people in the Blue Team. We're gonna see more and more of this. We're about to hit 6 here across teams. Big fights up ahead. Canadian Moose get half his life go ahead and getting chunked out there from the Fiddle. Both teams kind of looking for it. Fiddle potentially positioning for a big ulti here. Illuminati getting caught out quite a bit here, trying to back off here. The shield there, still managing to go make it out there. Half health. It was, and I think probably an okay trade, but as the game goes on, he will become less and less able to get away with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're if you're the Blue Team right now, I think you're sitting really pretty right now because you're scaling up the Kog'Maw, you're scaling up with your Sylas. If they build any magic resist whatsoever, they're gonna have such a great time in these mid-game fights. They're kicking off another fight. Illuminati gets caught. Same with the Canadian Moose. There's a lot of dive on the Red Team. Janna ult knocks everybody away. What a great Janna ult, but it's just not gonna be enough. The Fiddle ult comes in to clean up, and that's a 4-for-1 so far. 4-for-0 actually. Ouch. Yeah, that's brutal. Oh, it's Sexual Pancake goes down right
but we're still doing another big catch here with Triad getting caught by the claw. Now they're able to start sieging the tower here. That was a really, really big fight. I think it's really tough to go ahead and see what was happening right then in time, but with Illuminati getting caught in the very beginning kind of sets a little bit of a tone. The counter engage from Lowy. That was potentially a really big Lowy out there too. So major props for red team to try to come away with that. And another fight happening here.
Absolutely. Great engage by Pius Hippo, too, to get on the Kog'Maw immediately. If Pius wasn't able to find Kog'Maw there, I think they would have been in a lot of trouble.
Oh, and a big catch here, trying to go ahead and capitalize on the numbers advantage here. Flash does go down from Illuminati here. Try to go ahead and close that gap.
Yep, and blue team's just happy to get the scraps here, but nothing really exciting is happening. They're just cleaning up after a fight that they definitely should win anyway. The real loss here is that they lost their first turret. So that kind of sucks to happen so early. It's not even 6 minutes.
Red team did a really good job staggering their deaths here. Rather, making sure their deaths aren't super staggered because they're able to hold the tower. So both teams technically at 6 did trade deaths, but red team is managed to hold the tower. And a huge amount of damage here. Will this kill? And that did manage to kill. That soul right there. That quote-unquote soul poke coming from Lowy. Blue team here looking to siege. Maybe I spoke too soon about red team actually still keeping their tower here. Oh, Leona going in. Big damage here.
What a pull from that one dude.
That one dude following up.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, his E is absolutely brutal. I don't even know what to say about that. It's destructive.
And Silas here coming for the cleanup. And the snowball here. Like, what a bloodbath. Both teams barely making out alive. Janna being parent guardian here for the Kog'Maw, trying to make sure that Kog'Maw stays up. Oh, pretty good, a good knock up there to do the slowdown there. Now Fiddle's here.
Try hard, getting some poke though. His damage is coming in pretty good. He's got a Kraken Slayer. I'm surprised he went Kraken Slayer. I gotta say, I am not a fan of it this game. At least I wouldn't have gotten it so early. I think you definitely want some sort of survivability when you have 6 people jumping on you, you know?
Maybe it's a high faith in the Janna here in this particular case. Or maybe low faith in the enemy team. I do see where the Kraken Slayer is coming into play, though. We do see a Leona and a Rammus, chonky champions here that do need powerful, consistent damage to keep on coming through. Red team impressively able to hold their tower. We were talking about how red team did manage to get the tower, and looks like they're starting the big fight here. Illuminati a little bit too deep on their tower. Does go ahead and picked off here. Huge Lowy ult slamming down a ton of damage here. That does do a ton of damage across the team as both Leona and Swain are trying to get back into it. Good attempt from Janna to go ahead and end it, but Swain is still, Rylos is still in it, but does manage to get taken out by the Caitlyn, who's full health. Managed to position herself
Honestly,
really well in the fight.
What happened there? I couldn't tell what was happening at all. There were so many AoE like ults going off. We had, I think, what was it, 2 Swain ults at the same time, or 2 Fiddle ults at a Swain ult, something like that, and then the Janna ult on top of it. And the Alawi ult. There were so many circles. I don't even know what to say. That was absolutely ridiculous.
I think it really goes to show that I think we're gonna see, at least today, a consistent play behavior from Down Bad Miner has been to really like introduce a lot of chaos in these fights, to try to make there be less coordination on the enemy team. It's really hard to like say like I'm getting Fiddle ulted. It's like, but wait, Fiddle's on our team, or I'm getting Leona ulted. Leona's on our team, and so on. And then it doesn't help when you're getting slammed by tentacles in these fights. You know, we were talking about how Leona, Rammus, and Swain are trying to be in it, and when they're in it, they're getting hit by tentacles because of Lowy. These fights are going to be crazy.
Yeah, that was a little ridiculous.
Amazingly enough,
it looks like Kog'Maw's working on his Rage Knife, so he's getting a lot of damage. But again, like I'm a little bit off on this Kog'Maw build. There's so much magic damage on the red team. I truly can't understand why he's not going Wit's End yet.
One of the questions here that we ask ourselves a lot, or at least I ask myself, is you look at the enemy team, you see the tanks, you're like, okay, maybe Lord Doms. I can think of, oh, but before we go on, fights are break out again. Huge catch here. Trying to punish the front line of the blue team, but the blue team trying to make the best of it. Oh, and a huge catch from Siren. Great ult from Janna here, but that was a little bit too late. Red team's going to continue to capitalize on this, hunting everyone down. Down Bad does manage to make it out. Red team comes out ahead in that fight. Wow.
Look at how quickly Kog'Maw explodes. By the time he's finished with his Gwynsus, the game's going to be over.
It's tricky. We were just talking about how important it is to potentially deal the damage to kill tanks, but you mentioned survivability. I think there's a lot of times we put emphasis on the ability to kill the tanks and less on the survivability part. I feel like that's a fine edge to walk here, and I think the ability to identify that can be hard. Like, when do you go to survivability? When do you go for damage? Like, typically we always say, like, you gotta be able to kill tanks, you gotta be able to tanks. In this case, you gotta almost, like, survive to be able to even kill the tanks?
Honestly, that's a great point, and I think my communication about that definitely is confusing, because I feel like every time I've criticized an AD carry build so far on this cast, it's always been that they're not building enough damage. In this particular scenario, if you're playing Kog'Maw, I think you have to go survivability. Kog'Maw is just a weird champ. He doesn't really behave like other AD carries. He has the ability to go kind of tanky, and it works. In this scenario, if he had more supports, if he had a Lulu as well on top of the Janna or something, then maybe I could say, all right, you don't have enough damage. You have to go more damage and actually kill the tanks for your team. But look at the team right now. Early, they've got a ton of damage across all of their champions except for Janna. They've got another heavy carry in Sylas, and even though he's not going to be doing a lot of AoE or a lot of total damage, he's mostly burst on one target. I think as Kog'Maw, you can afford to go a little bit tankier at the beginning just to ensure that you're going to be able to get your damage off. Another detail of that, or another facet of that argument, is there's just so much dive on the red team. How can you possibly survive if you don't have any MR? When Swain dives in with his snowball or with his ghost, when Hector on his Rammus dives in, when there's a Fiddle ult, when there's a Leona jumping on you, is Leona jumping on anybody else? Absolutely not. You can expect her to jump on Kog'Maw every time. So yeah, in this one scenario, I think you go Bruisery.
It can definitely be a tricky thing to evaluate during the game, and that's kind of one of the things, is like be able to go and pivot. I wonder if anyone on blue team has identified this and talk about like, hey, we need to try to make sure Kog'Maw's surviving, or they continue to say like, all right, let's just go ahead and keep on doing these big fights, because like you were saying before, I don't think there's necessarily a big rush for blue team to kick off these fights. We kind of talked about how they actually do like to get engaged on. On the contrary, I think red team actually should be looking for these fights pretty constantly, and the pace of fighting has actually died down quite a bit.
And the banter in the all chat is getting spicy.
For sure, for sure.
Blue team is baiting the red team to go in, and I think it's working. Illuminati gets caught out a little bit. Takes about a third of his health down for no reason. Honestly, if you're playing set right now, just don't walk up that far. It's really easy.
Oh, a big catch here from Swain, but Alawi able to kind of shrug it off. You know. We do, as I was saying before, red team should be looking for ways to start this off. I know it might seem a little bit awkward given that they have Alawi, but like time isn't necessarily on their side. You know, it's only a matter of time before the Cogs the cog finishes the damage items and then starts thinking about survivability in this case. Got a Swain out there on the Sylas, so Sylas now having the ability to kind of surround himself and do that AoE ability. Red team still managing to hold under tower amazingly.
Yeah, it looks like Tryhard was able to learn Spanish within the last minute. That's actually really impressive. Ole, ole, ole indeed.
Potentially a big fight here. Swain ulting in. Lowy is going to be able to have a huge ult here.
Oh no, what's happening, Doom Geek?
Health bar is dropping down really fast here. What ended up happening here is that we see the Lowy ult really popping off and managed to get a ton of damage, but there's just so much AoE, right? You have Fiddle ult, Swain ult, and this is actually a Sylas with the Swain ult. Keep that in mind here. And the drain that Sylas was able to do during that fight not only kept him alive, but continues to keep him alive here. I don't think Hector's going to be able to win this one.
Nope.
With the
Sylas
constant
wins this
heal,
every time. Even with the tower hitting him, I still think he wins this. It's gonna be close though.
Oh,
it's a tie.
Tower was enough there, but I think Sylas wanting to go back and buy is to capitalize on all that gold they just got in that fight. Wow, that was really big here. There could be something to be said that maybe blue team could look for some tower damage there, but it's not the end of the world. Because like I was saying before, eventually Kog'Maw will be able to shred through those towers. What is Kog'Maw building next?
Going Bork! Kog'Maw, please! Get a wit's end! What are you doing, buddy?
We'll go ahead and see if like this high-risk greedy play from Kog'Maw is able to go and pay off. Because right now, Kog'Maw is popping. I don't think the red team is respecting the Alawi ult as much as they should be. They're fighting in that ult for a very long time. I guess they really don't have a choice. Let me rephrase. They don't have a choice. They have to go ahead and do that, right? And it makes for crazy fights where you just see health bars going down. A big catch on here on the Caitlyn, but Caitlyn is managed to slip away. A weird thing for Caitlyn. Doesn't even have to use her Gale Force either. Or rather, I take it back. No Gale Force from Caitlyn. Kraken Slayer Gale Force. Kraken Slayer Caitlyn this time. Also pretty interesting. A little bit of deviation.
Yeah, I think she had to go Kraken Slayer this game just for the health stackers on the blue team. But between the last fight and this fight, look at what the blue team was able to pick up. Set finished his Spirit Visage. Alawi was able to finish Death Stance and then grab a Spectre's Cowl, a much needed Spectre's Cowl. And Downbad came back with a hat. So he is ready. I mean, this is game number 2 in a row where Downbad is saying, "Climb on my back, children. I will take you to the promised land."
We'll go ahead and see if Downbad can actually do that carrying here. And full credit to blue team. It's not at this point, Downbad is ready to be the playmaker here, but there is a lot of like teamwork that has to occur. Oh, and speaking of teamwork, Fiddle goes in, lands a big ult on Illuminati, but not able to pop Illuminati. The shield being so big, managed to keep alive, and the rest of the red team unable to follow up. Not sure if it was the Downbad zoning the rest of the team, but blue team was able to stop the Fiddle from killing them. Big catch on Downbad here as well, but not enough.
Yeah, that's a little questionable. It looked like Sexual Pancake actually got a pretty good ult. Oh, and now Hector's going in, but it's 4v5. Why would he go in 4v5? I don't understand. When Sexual Pancake kicks off the fight and gets a great engage with his Fiddle ult, Hector won't go in. But now that it's a 4v5, then they're definitely going to lose. He goes in.
But look at this Caitlyn positioning here. That is incredible. Caitlyn coming out. I know Caitlyn has lifesteal, but able to like play it safe from the back for the entire time. Great space making from red team. Maybe that was the plan. I can't say for certain. I'm not in their comms, but it just looked like that Rammus was able to go and pull out the damage dealers of red team and let the Caitlyn shred through the enemy tanks on blue team and then eventually clean up. They're gonna get another tower off this.
Wow, I can't believe red team won that. That seems like really bad decision making from the Rammus, but if it turns out all right, it was a high IQ play. You got to give it to him.
It was pretty tricky. With so much attention being focused on the Rammus diving in on the very immobile Kog'Maw, we didn't really have a chance to look up there and see what the Caitlyn was doing with the Leona. It honestly looked like up there, like most of the interesting fight was on the bottom side. Oh, a huge fear here, but it's mostly minions. Another big AoE fight here.
Sexual Pancake tries to ult in, he gets knocked back by Janna, but I think it might still be enough. Downbad Miner's in the back line though, and he's cleaning up all of the AD carries. He kills Caitlyn, he's about to kill Swain too. I don't know what red team can do about him. Downbad Miner's popping off. Oh, it was close, but he's able to pop Swain as well, and that should be the end of the red team. Now they're just cleaning up. Absolutely brutal play from Downbad, just taking out the carries of the red team super easily. Hippo goes down here, doesn't even move.
I want to go ahead and that is some great focus there on understanding what needs to happen. Very different from that previous fight, right? The previous fight, when the Downbad and the blue team is unable to get onto the Caitlyn, it ends disastrously. Caitlyn's able to catch so much damage. But in this particular case, we have they were able to finally break through red team's front line and get in there and delete the damage sources. So now it looks like they're trying to make a march to Nexus. Will this be enough? Red team is starting to come back up here. Pick a big shield here.
That was a lot of damage.
Oh, but they did manage to get in the Caitlyn, which might be enough to go ahead and stop there.
Wow, and Downbad almost takes down Duke Corey by himself. Canadian Moose comes in for the final blow, but that is a lot of Sylas damage. And he just finishes Jonias too. Now that he's got the Jonias, he's got so many tools to cause chaos in the backline of the red team. I am super scared of what this 18-8 Sylas is going to do in this next fight, DivGeek.
Yeah. Now, what is the next item that Kog'Maw is building? We have a game pause here.
We got a game pause, 1 minute, while we try to figure out what's going on. I hope it's not a phone call. And just to answer your question, Hearthbound Axe and an old Magic Mantle, my good Doom Geek, I believe that is Wit's End.
Good stuff. And that's
you love to see it.
That's going to be an exciting... that's the one item we were talking about that should have come out earlier. But is it too little too late? At this point, getting the
Honestly, since the game isn't over, it's totally fine. I'm surprised he didn't go earlier. I wish he had gone earlier, but I think it's totally fine that it took this long. Yep, I'm also experiencing a pause on my end.
Okay. Pause is undone. Players are starting to look around, trying to look for another opening here. As they slowly meet closer to red side of the field.
All right, I'm having some technical difficulties, Doom Geek, so I think you might have to explain what's going on right now.
Sounds good. While you go and reconnect, we can go ahead and take a look through here. Red team trying to slowly move up here.
Oh, and I'm back.
Excellent. You didn't miss very much here. Both teams are kind of positioning, trying to move up the minion wave. We're definitely at the point of the game where like any team's loss at this point could seal the deal for the entire game.
Blue team is posturing, but look at how much damage Illuminati just took from Caitlyn.
There is a
that was
Warmogs.
absolutely brutal.
There's a Warmog. So
he does not have a Warmogs actually.
oh, I was looking at the Leona, but he did manage to gain a decent amount of health there off his passive alone with the Spirit Visage.
Still, that is a whole lot of damage from Caitlyn. I know she's 13 and 5. She's got the Lord Doms.
Oh, that's a
but
snowball.
That was way more than I expected on a set.
Oh, but the Moose here, looking for a big play, getting a lot of big smashes here, but it may not be enough here. Moose going and successfully, unsuccessfully trying to deal damage to team. Red team.
That was a huge ult too. He got Corey down to a third, but he was all by himself.
Yeah,
there was no one to follow up.
And now it's time for a reverse of fate here. Fiddle here trying to go ahead and go in, take people out. Swain going in the back, trading with the Leona here, trying to delete the damage in the back line. Does manage to pick out the Caitlyn, which, as we talked about before, limiting the damage makes this team fight go heavily in favor of the blue team. Wow, what a big play there. Turning something that could be a very, very bad position for blue team to be in. The Sylas immediately goes in the back and deletes the Caitlyn.
Yeah, and that was just really awkward. We saw Moose go in 1v5, and then, as if not to be outdone, Sexual Pancake immediately went in 1v5 as a response. It feels like the gameplay now is just falling apart. Both teams are just absolutely throwing these team fights. Super cringe.
It's tough. You know, they've been playing that. This is definitely one of the longer customs. As we go ahead and get in there, you know, the mental stress becomes harder. You got to keep your head in the game. So I'll gotta cut him a little bit slack here. It's definitely tricky. I think at this point, everyone recognizes that if they win the fight for their team, they win the game, right? And so there were no clear winners in either of those fights. You know, it seemed like blue team managed to take off two people. Red team, but they got pushed too far up. And now, by the time blue team makes it to red team's nexus, red team's back up again. We're gonna have a little back and forth here. Whatever this next fight, if it's gonna be an ace, I think it's probably gonna be the game.
Yeah, I mean this game is definitely on a knife's edge. So how do you see red team winning this? Because it feels like blue team's been in control of a lot of the fights, at least towards the end of the game. How do you think red team comes back, especially with a 19 and 8 Sylas on the other side?
Well, we're gonna see if we find out. This is one of the ways. Blue team begins to initiate off of this. Big fights here. A lot of AoE happening back here. Laliel not hitting as many people right now, but now as they back up, Pious Hippo hang on just by a thread here. Still coming alive amazingly.
Sylas goes down!
And with Sylas down, blue team is a little bit of retreat. Big knock up here to try to buy some more time. Good disengage from blue team. Good disengage from blue team. Oh, but there's another big catch here. Oh, good lifesteal off the King Moose, but that's not enough. Oh, this cannon that is Kog'Maw, but oh, getting hit by the Leona there. Oh, this might be it. This might be it.
Wow, what a cue from Corey. I'm really surprised that they were able to take out Sylas before he was able to jump on Caitlyn and kill her. Real talk, my impression of this game as a whole, this is the best game that we've seen from Corey so far. His performance on Caitlyn has been absolutely immaculate. Oh, we got another fight while the red team's trying to take the final tower.
Yeah, this
They stopped focusing it. They're going in on the blue team. Blue team's fighting under their own tower.
and
They're super
blue
happy just to
team
clean this up. What a
manages
set
to
W.
save it. Wow, and the game is still not over right now. That was absolutely incredible. You know, with the blue team really not giving up hope there, try to go ahead and kill the red team as they're closing out.
What's going on, Doom Geek?
Oh man! And the thing is, like, so what's gonna happen now is both teams gonna get a reset. At this point in the game, I think what's gonna end up happening is whoever team pushing the minions up makes a big difference now. Like by moving the minions out farther, you buy yourself time. These respawn timers getting longer and longer and longer here. So notice how by the time blue team finally can start sieging Nexus, red team's back up, and now they can start a fight. Red team can't lose this fight, but if red team wins this fight, at least blue team has bought themselves some buffer for another fight. So it's going to keep on going a little bit back and forth like this. Kind of like what you were talking about before. How is red team going to win this? I think if they delete Kog'Maw, I was going to say if they delete Kog'Maw, that's enough. But like they also need to like keep Sylas off their Caitlyn, because if they trade Sylas, if they trade Caitlyn for Kog'Maw, that's still not great. For blue team, I think that's not great for red team, and so I think blue team
Absolutely not. I mean, Caitlyn's got 20 kills, and she's the entirety of their physical damage, so they need to keep Caitlyn alive for sure.
And I think like if blue team loses Kog'Maw, it's unfortunate, but then the Sylas is going to go around there just starting like spin around, and just delete people one at a time, and just heal off the enemy tanks. So it's really
and it
hard.
just depends on when they lose him. Like if they lose Kog'Maw at the very beginning of the fight, Sylas is not going to have enough damage to take the fight and kill all of the enemy tanks. But if they lose him towards the end of the fight, I think it's okay. Sylas will be able to clean up, as we've seen him do in countless fights so far.
So yeah, I mean, I know that kind of like a non-answer, but I really don't know. It's what the play is here. What do you think the right thing to do here is? Because, like I said, simply deleting the Kog'Maw isn't enough. You know, we have Leona, Rammus, ways to jump on delete the Kog'Maw. If you play super defensive and try to keep the Caitlyn alive, that's kind of like playing to blue team's strength, so they can set up an incredible Lowy ult or something like that. You know?
Yeah, what I want to see from red team is like they have no choice but to go in on Kog'Maw. I think that's fine, diving in on him. They have that's what their team comp is designed to do. They absolutely dive on Kog'Maw. Maybe they leave one person back. Hector, I've seen, has been staying back to help Corey survive by taunting the Sylas so that Corey can start hitting him with his massive Caitlyn auto attacks. So I want to see that. But everybody else should be diving on Kog'Maw. Kill him quickly and then move on to the rest of the team.
This game is shaping up to be maybe one of the longest customs that we've had so far. Currently at 27 minutes and still ongoing.
Yeah, this is absolutely wild, Doom Geek. I can't wait to see how this one ends up. Both teams posturing, but they're unwilling to do anything that will risk a devastating team fight.
And by all means, red team needs to do that. Red team, if they lose the fight here, the game ends. They need to go ahead and try to get some more space to get out there. But the wave clear now with effectively online Kog'Maw is really, really hard. Watch this Kog'Maw just rip into the super in the front. All right, super's down. All right, and just gonna keep on like chewing through that wave. That's gonna be really hard. If they can't push the wave out, they're gonna continue to be under threat of losing the game here. What is gonna happen here? It's almost like a lose-lose situation for red team at this point. If red team goes in, blue team is gonna collapse on their Caitlyn. If they don't go in, we're gonna just keep on running into a situation where blue team is just slowly trying to go ahead and get chip damage on the tower. I actually don't know if any of the minions are actually making it through to get damage on the tower. I don't think so. Blue team's doing a really good job of kind of like freezing the minions to stop any damage happening to their tower. But we'll see what happens here. All right, a Fiddle ult was stolen by Sylas here. Could this be the big play that we're looking for?
Which ult would you rather see on Sylas right now? The Fiddle, Swain, or Leona?
Oh, but here we go.
Oh! The Gyre gets
catch.
picked immediately! What just happened? That's a huge fight win for the red side. Corey's in the back. He's getting down by the Canadian Moose and Illuminati. Illuminati's finally able to take him down, but not before two others are taken down. And meanwhile, the red side's completely taken out the back line of the blue team. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You want to dive Kog'Maw, kill him quickly, and then come back for the rest of them. I'm actually surprised the down bad miner wasn't able to get into the back line. I think he should have been there with the rest of his front line. instead of fighting around Kog'Maw. And I actually didn't catch exactly what he was doing there, but the fact that Kog'Maw got caught so quickly and so early was absolutely devastating. What a great pick. The Caitlyn damage is through the roof. Corey's having the game of his career right now. I can't wait to see which academy team he ends up in by June of next year.
Absolutely crazy fights that are playing out here. And now, will this be a push in the game? We were talking about how red team is pushed way too far. Red team was pushed too far back to their nexus, where even if they win that fight, the game isn't over yet. So they still need to win one more to fully seal the deal here. Caitlyn is still not back yet. Sylas going in, seeing an opportunity to be able to go in. Sylas dives in.
Big 5.
Swain does get the Zhonya's off in time. Now Sylas is on the Caitlyn in the back, and Sylas goes down.
Oh, a race! Wow! I think that was a Rammus taunt into Corey, just absolutely destroying him with those Caitlyn auto attacks. The fight's still going on. It's really close. It's 2v3. Illuminati flashes onto Corey. It looks like he's able to take him out pretty easily.
And the Kog'Maw's still alive.
I think that's it, Doomgeek. I think we just saw the end of the game.
For sure,
wow,
for sure.
Absolutely heartbreaking loss for Corey. I'm still honestly really impressed with his play this game. I think he totally popped off on Caitlyn, and I'm a little sad for him that he lost.
Absolutely incredible here. And with that, we have the end of the game here, with blue team coming out ahead.
GG's. What did you think about that, Doomgeek?
Wild ride. Absolutely wild ride. I think this is a record for the long...
And as a final closing note, Down Bad absolutely popped off that game. Do you think we'll be seeing any more Sylas in the near future? Absolutely brutal.